All right, good evening. I'd like to call the City of Menasha Common Council 2025 Budget Review Session, Night 2 to order. If you'd please rise and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Clerk Snyder, if we could have the roll, please.
Alderman Grotti? Here. Alderman Rapella? Here. Alderman Nichols? Here. Alderman Eisenach? Here. Alderman Sevenik?
Here.
Alderman Perkins? Here. Alderman Lewis is absent. Alderman Marshall? Here.
All right, thank you very much. Item D is public comments on any matter of concern to the city, 5 minutes. There isn't anybody in attendance in the gallery, so we'll close public comment and we'll move on to next, which is item E, and that's the Senior Center. So Director Hutter, I will hand it over to you.
Oh, okay. Sweet. Good evening, everyone. Chloe and I are here tonight to present about the Menasha Senior Center. Chloe is our Senior Services Manager, so I am going to turn it over to her for a presentation and a discussion about our budget.
All right, thank you so much and good evening. One of my favorite aspects about this role is that I get to work with the entire lifespan. I'd like to share a little bit about where some of our older adults choose to spend some of their time at, and that's with us at the Senior Center. Our mission at the Senior Center is to maintain and enhance the quality of life for older adults by providing educational, recreational, social, wellness programs, and to meet the need as requested by the community. We value opportunities, friendships, health, and learning. I wish you could meet all of the participants at the center because they're the reason that the center is such a vibrant and happening place. Yet I can't introduce you to all 1,313 individuals that have enjoyed our service this year so far. Following national trends, we see about 66 of our participants join us at the center are women. However, in our recent observations, we have noticed an increase in men stopping by to check out our offerings or stepping out of their comfort zone to join different activities, and we're very excited about that. Our average age of our participants is 74. We have upwards of 98. Yeah, Emma is 98 years old. She just celebrated a birthday in April, and as young as retirement age. We have welcomed 394 unique Menasha residents through our doors this year for a variety of activities. 22% of our participants are from Neenah, 15% from Appleton, and 7% are from Fox Crossing. We offer a wide variety of activities and services for our community. We offer routine socials, exercise classes, craft classes, card and game groups, socials, educational opportunities, and of course being housed in the health department, we have a great resource in the city, which is Megan Pauley, our 60-plus grant nurse who provides wellness rooms and times for blood pressure screenings, other health-related conversations, and she organizes a ton of different services, including screenings for our participants. So let's go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty a little bit. Here's a snapshot from the past 3 years. Rentals are from outside groups that use our facility on evenings and weekends. We do have a couple more weekends that we're anticipating booking, and we have booked a couple rentals since this slide has been updated. Program revenues are from the programs that require a dollar amount from our participants, which we work to offset our program materials, and fundraising is done through bake sales. Like the election that we just had, we raised $600, which was wonderful, and we're really excited about what we're going to be able to use that money for. And then we also do fundraise during the Parade of Lights with usually it's a root beer float sale, which I enjoy several of. And we're expecting The downside of this is we are expecting the Winnebago County grant that we've received in the past many years to decrease $8,000 this year. We've had a ton of fun this year, and we've had many different types of programming happening in our facility with a full calendar of 2 different daily activities, 28 activities that happen each week, 12 activities that happen on a monthly basis. Some of the groups are groups like Mahjong that play Monday and Fridays, line dancing that is different levels on Monday and Wednesdays, cribbage plays every Wednesday, open art meets Thursdays, and I was just talking to them today, they're like, this is so great, you have no idea how much I've progressed. I'm like, well, I kind of do, because I remember you sketching like, maybe it was a bird, and now I can tell it's a bird. So, very fun. We also have monthly groups that meet like cornhole and card making classes. Our special events are socials that are organized by our activity coordinator, Leah McCormick, and she's heard a big request for more musical entertainers. So this year we had Glenn Navis and Elvis John, who of course brings in a huge crowd. We have also started a fun program called Tunes Bingo, which uses music instead of traditional bingo calling, but don't worry, we still host bingo regularly too. We are always looking at ways to expand and build on our successes and our bus trip, which we'll go into, has been a great success. So we did brand a water bottle and have offered that as a merchandise just to kind of test the waters as well, to see what our participants are interested in purchasing as in support and to show their support of the senior center. And we have branded the hand sanitizers that we handed out on our extended stay bus trips. Our center is incredibly busy, as this chart shows. We've had almost 13,000 visits, which means that the number of people who have checked into our facility throughout the 10 months of 2024 when I updated this slide. Last year, for reference, we had 11,500 for the full 12 months. Mondays and Thursdays are consistently our busiest day. And of the 210 days that we have been open this year so far, 86 of those days have been higher than our average of 62 individuals who have checked in and hung out for hours on end at the center. And over 20 of the 210 days have had more than 100 people check into our facility to enjoy the many programs and services that we have going on. So you can imagine that there are some days that our center feels like it's bursting at the seams, and it's a wonderful energy that comes from having those groups outgrow the spaces that they've been playing in. And it will be very interesting to see where the future of our growth takes us. And this certainly cannot happen without a full team of partners that we're very grateful for. There are many that share their time and their services with our community. So the ADRC provides fantastic resources such as a memory care screening. The Wellness Plus Coalition provides fan-favorite classes such as Strong Bodies, which unfortunately we are going to lose our leader for next year, so we're actively looking for a volunteer to step into that role so we can continue that class. We're grateful for Advocap, who provides congregate meals Monday through Friday, as well as freezer meals that can be picked up for the weekend to anyone over the age of 60 in Winnebago County. The YMCA is one of our fitness providers and provides the staffing for chair yoga, strength, stretch, and balance. And lastly, we're fortunate to have the Appleton nail nurse, Kim Koch, who joins us in providing affordable foot care health for our community and is trained as both an RN and a nail tech, so she can give manicures, which is really cool, and is knowledgeable in issues such as diabetic foot care, which is very important. As we look, you can see the numbers of the individuals who have enjoyed the vast services provided each month internally by the Senior Center, which our programs average about 905 people. The YMCA averages about 255 individuals each month who participate in their classes, and Wellness Plus averages about 170 people who enjoy their classes throughout the month. We are beyond grateful for these agencies who allow us to offer a great service without taxing our very small team with managing these opportunities. Our team is very small, and so we would not be flourishing as much without the help of our volunteers. So far this year, we have had 289 individuals share 682 hours of their time with us, and we've calculated a staff savings of about $12,276, which we used $18 an hour. And if you've worked with volunteers at all, you know that that's pretty low dollar amount because they're invaluable. So our volunteers bring years of experience to lead card making and crafting classes. They lead the line dancing groups. They help out at the front desk for 2 days a week and lead programs like Tunes Bingo and Story Circles. And perhaps one of the most impactful places that we have seen the value of an experienced leader is in our bus trips. We certainly see the value in bus trips through the success and how the community has embraced this program. Donna Landers is our volunteer coordinator who came to us and has brought almost 8 years of experience with her. She provides 20 hours of volunteer time for each single day trip. She coordinates the itinerary, talks with all of the vendors, does a ton of research. She creates and helps distribute the marketing materials. She communicates with the travelers. And then she, for the extended bus trips, does about 70 hours of volunteer work for each of those. Together, she saves the city about $6,000 and almost $6,500 for this wonderful service. And this year, our travelers have been traveling over 5,000 miles across the state of Wisconsin, Indiana, Michigan, and North Carolina. We've had 724 travelers join us so far on these trips. So we can take a look at our budget now on page 350. Oh, 351, sorry, we start on 350, but the numbers start on 351. And you'll see that our budget is really staying the same compared to last year with just a few differences. So the 2005 is reflecting additional visits from our nail nurse. She's adding a second day each month because of the popularity and frankly the need of our service. I just took a call and I had to book out into January because we're full at this point. And this is offsetting revenue, so it's not actually like an increase. We are increasing the 3018 slightly because this provides funding for the 12 socials, the 12 different programs of support, and the many, about 15 individual groups that Leah, our activity coordinator, organizes. And the 3011, I just want to bring attention to that even though the postage cost increase is happening every single year, the types of materials we're mailing out has changed. So we're able to still do our operations within this dollar amount, even with postage increasing. Frankly, we're just sending out more postcards than heavy newsletters. So as we look forward, oh, did I not click that? Bummer, I'm sorry. Here's my slide for budget. So as we look forward to 2025, we have an internal goal of creating a yearly plan to facilitate feedback from our participants to be a little bit more intentional and consistent with an annual plan instead of the sporadic surveys that we've been doing to this point. And we're starting developing a strategic plan to help tie our growth in a way that is supported to our operations. And lastly, the Senior Center has finally relaunched how they're doing accreditation as well as a brand new website, which is very nice. So we're going to be applying for the accreditation at the end of this year to be accredited in 2025. We know 2025 is going to be another fantastic year for us, and hopefully you can be a part of it. And I'd love to hear what kind of questions you have for me.
Does anybody have questions? Alderman Sepnick.
Yeah, earlier at the beginning of your statement, you had mentioned there was going to be a shortfall from Winnebago County funds. You want to explain that in a little more detail, why that happened and why it's less?
Certainly.
We were approached by the ADRC director, I think her position is, letting us know that the Winnebago County board has decided to not keep up the same level of tax-funded portion that we are receiving. So they are looking at decreasing our amount by $8,000 is what we've been told. At the time, the county hadn't gone through their budget approval process yet, so I don't have anything in writing or confirmation of it, but that is what they did tell us. They get some federal funding for the work that they do with older adults, and that's a part of this, but a significant portion is tax levy funded locally as well, and that is what they are not supporting as much anymore.
The reason I raise this issue is that I've been always okay and comfortable with the fact that we have 2/3 of our facility being used by other residents other than Menasha, because Winnebago County would fund. If they're not going to help us fund, then I think we need to look at things a little differently then. I would suggest that all the aldermen call your county board supervisor. I'm sure that their budget is passed already, but let them know of their displeasure of that. I find that insulting. It's such a small amount compared to the size of their budget. And I'm telling you, what always made me feel okay, because I would always hear, well, we get a lot of funding from the county. Well, it doesn't seem like very much.
Yeah, and we do recognize that.
And I have to look out for the taxpayers of Menasha,
Sure.
and they're subsidizing this for 2/3 of the rest of the community. And don't get me wrong, I'm now a senior myself, and I think this program with the senior center, especially with the size of the budget, is small, considering what you offer. But when I see Winnebago County doing that, and then asking the taxpayers of Menasha to pick it up, I have to really look at that a little more seriously.
Just two things that I would add. One is that when the news was delivered to us, they were, sensitive to our situation and were, compassionate to us in delivering that and offering, some, I would call it in-kind services that they might be able to offer. How could they partner with us to utilize their, and by them I mean ADRC staff members, what kind of services could they bring to our center to kind of support us in a different way. So I do want to recognize that willingness to partner with us in a different way to support us. But also Chloe and I have had the discussion about maybe starting with our bus trips, a resident and a non-resident rate as a way to try to show, our City of Menasha residents that we recognize what they're doing for us and for our senior center.
I served 4 years on the county board, so I have a little knowledge of this. And, Becky might agree with me, but everything is Oshkosh. And when I looked at your results, you had 8% of the people that uses the facility from Oshkosh. And so I'm really taken by that. I'm certainly not going to do anything now. I think it's too late, but I think it's very insulting.
We appreciate those comments.
Alderman Rapella?
Thank you, Mayor. Chloe, the senior center seems like it's very busy, as you've stated. The bus trips, that's a great idea to have the price for Menasha and the non-residents. I know that there's a number of seniors that enjoy bus trips. Nationwide closed during the pandemic, so that's a place that I went on a bus trip with my mom to Canada and to Boston. So they're out of business. So they needed a place. This is nice that you're filling somewhat of a need for people to go on bus trips. Maybe when I get older, I'll be able to go on a bus trip again. Older, but no, I think that's a great thing. So I'm just pleased that we're having a great senior center. My only concern or complaint is when you write the numbers, I'm always used to reading from left to right. So when I read the numbers, it goes 24, 23, 2022, and I'm always used to reading them from 2022 to 2023 to 2024, growing that way. So that's the only one that I'm.
You'll be happy to know that I fixed that in the recreation presentation today.
All right, thank you very much, because I always tell my kids to read from left to right, so it's just kind of hard to adjust. Thank you.
Are there any other questions pertaining to the senior center? Seeing none, thank you both very much for giving us an update and your budget review. Next, we'll move on to F, which is for Parks and Recreation. So we'll hand it over to Director Sackett and give her a moment to get the presentation all set up. We all set? All right, we're going to start with our Park and Recreation Department budget presentation. We have Director Sackett, and then we have Chloe and Thad and Travis here, so I will kick it off to you guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for your time tonight in our budget presentation. It's always nice to share with you what we've accomplished for the year. So our budget presentation will really be split into two parts. The first part is going through some data points of showing you really a 5-year kind of snapshot of some of our revenues, facility uses, things like that, and then we'll dive into some of the budget highlights of 2024 and budget numbers for 2025. So of course, at any point, feel free to stop me. Mayor Hammond introduced our team, but I'm happy to have our leadership team with us here tonight, as they're a big part of what makes this department a success, and they'll speak on their areas of expertise throughout our presentation. So firstly, I know there's some new members up here on the council, and I feel it's a good reminder to all of our aldermen at large here that of all the areas that we oversee as a department and the impacts that we have in the community. So we have a 15-year difference on the right-hand side there of where we were in 2009, what the population of Menasha was, and then in 2024, and then our growth in parks and trails and trees. So you've seen definitely an increase in trails throughout the year. That was a huge focus probably in the last 5 to 10 years was to expand our trails. We'll see some additional growth on that in the coming years, certainly with the Water Street development happening. There'll be some expanded trail there. Should the Lawson Canal project continue to move forward, that will have some trail space along there, and then some of the subdivisions, there's planned trails through there as well. Parks has stayed even from 2009 to 2024. The difference, though, is even though you're still at 14 parks, you used to have Winds Park, that park closed, and then you added Hidden Pond Park. So you've stayed steady at 14 parks, but there is a difference in park, which is why you see a difference in number of acres. Hidden Pond Park is bigger than what your Winds Park would have been previously. And then trees, we've had since about 2010 a real focus on our forestry program. And every year we celebrate Arbor Day and plant 100 to 150 trees a year, even though we've removed several throughout the last several years from the emerald ash borer. We continue to replant those, and usually we replant 2 trees to every 1 tree that we remove. Besides just our parks and trails and trees, we also do oversee several facilities, including 4 boat landings, 2 kayak launches, the marina across the street, municipal beach, the pool, the memorial building, 9 rentable shelters, and then our department is also responsible for the maintenance of all the municipal buildings. So here's a 5-year snapshot when it comes to our revenue. So we have several different sources of revenue, whether it be the park rentals like the shelter rentals or green space, recreation, so those would be all of our rec programs, or if there's any fees collected for special events. Pool, so that would include general admission, season passes, swim lessons, you have your concession funding at the pool. Boat launches, so that's your season and daily passes. There's the small boat slip rental at Jefferson Park. This does not include the marina, as that's a separate fund, so this is revenues just for the general fund. So you can see a considerable increase in total revenues from 2020, and you can really knock off 2020 because we all know that that wasn't a true data point of a year. But even in 2019, the total revenue was $150,000, so if you look at a pre-COVID number, so that's a 37% increase our department has seen. And that's really without changing the fees of our program, so the fees of the boat launches or concessions have varied a little bit. We don't charge any difference in our fee to get into the pool, our season passes. So really this is showing a true increase in the use of our facilities or the use of our programs, things like that. So it's exciting to see some of those numbers and that continued growth. And we project growth again in 2025. Any questions about those revenue numbers? There's many different ways besides revenue in which we have people come in and make a difference within our community. And we aren't successful without these volunteers or the sponsorship dollars or the in-kind donations that we get. Our programs or events, some of our park things cannot happen without that. So again, here's a bit of a snapshot. Chloe highlighted the use of volunteers at the senior center. We rely heavily on that as well in the park and rec department. So it can be many things from helping out at our special events to helping plant trees, helping clean up along trails. So in 2024, we saw 172 volunteers at 794 hours. We use $12 an hour. That's basic recreational wage, and so we just use that wage, and so roughly $9,500 is what we're estimating as dollars saved for that. Sponsorship, that has shifted throughout the years, and then we want to recognize on the bottom slide, those are all of the businesses that have donated either monetarily or through in-kind donations to our events. So we're, again, very grateful for their support, and roughly we've estimated about a little over $1,000 in in-kind donations come to our department. This is a new slide that we added in here in this presentation looking ahead to 2025, and we offer a family assistance fund. So this fund is available for any families, for the youth of any families in the city of Menasha. We have a separate fund in which people can apply, and we will offer money to them to come to our programs, events, swim lessons like that. So we've really seen an increase in in 2024 in particular, having 29 children use the program out of 11 different families for just about $1,100. We're happy to be able to provide that service to the community. The last 2 years, we've had the revenue or the profits from the Grunsky-Runsky benefit this account. So we now have a steady income source into this. Previously, it was donations through people could register for a program, and if they wanted to add a couple dollars to their registration, they could, and that money would go in there. So it wasn't a steady, consistent revenue source. We all know that the Grunsky-Runsky has grown in popularity the last 2 years, and so having that steady revenue source is very nice, because then we can continue to advertise this resource to the community. We work with the school district to let them know about this resource that's available, and we want to continue to push that out there. I wasn't always comfortable pushing it out there previously without a steady revenue source to it, because I didn't want to exhaust the fund and not have have that service available for those. Our facility use, we have several different types of facilities, whether it be athletic fields, pavilions and shelters, the Smith Park Gardens. And so we see several users throughout all those different facilities. We had 420 external users. So this is not when we're going in and using a facility. This is external users. So that's a 10% increase in the last year. And then the last chart on the right is our community events. Our department supports all of the different events that come in through, whether it be the new Fox Cities Experience, to the Twisted Pistons, to the Race the Lake, all of those events. So there's an impact to our department and the resources that we provide to help set those up. And not only our department, but the Public Works Department as well. So I always want to recognize of the number of events that we have come through our community. We're happy to host those. And we have seen an increase this year with the growth, with the expansion, I should say, of the Harvest Fest coming back and Fox Cities Experience. We've had welcomes to some new ones into Menasha, and we're looking forward to hosting them again in 2025. This is a snapshot of our recreation programs in a 5-year comparison. So similar to the revenue slide, this shows our increase and where those numbers are coming from. So the number of programs can vary from year to year. Sometimes it can be on how we structure programs, the number of sessions. We changed our swim lesson format this year, so that's why you're seeing a dip. Instead of saying you have 6 swim lessons at one time slot, they could just register for a time slot and we would break them up according to their appropriate skill level. And so that's why you see a difference in number of programs. But we're really pleased with the growth and the number of participants that we're seeing in our programs. Excited to have them come back and look to Menasha as a true resource for some of their recreational needs. And then special events. So this is our internal special events, whether it be our Family First series that we host all summer long, where we have youth and family focused events every Wednesday, or Hometown Halloween, which was just a couple of weeks ago, Gather Round. These are our internal special events. Again, we consistently offer a wide variety of events. We primarily, I should say, focus on family focused events. But we also have Brews on Bago and the Grunsky Runsky that are for all ages to participate in. And it's important that sometimes it can be easy to program for youth. You naturally have a gravitational pull. Families are looking for that. But you have to be mindful that you're looking for and providing services for the whole breadth of ages. So from the youth all the way through seniors and the services that they provide at the senior center. Again, we're very happy with the growth that we've seen in our participation. For those of you that were at Hometown Halloween, I think that was a record attendance a couple of weeks ago with roughly 1,200 to 1,300 people attending that. Brews on Bago has consistently gotten more popular as we've invested in expanding some of the bands and picking some larger bands there. So we're continuing to see people looking to our department and our community for their entertainment. And then pool attendance. Again, this can vary from year to year. This year we were down just a bit. We did have a bit of a rainy season. June, if you recall, was quite rainy, and so that affects the attendance when it's a little bit cooler, but we've held steady coming back from COVID and continually growing. I think 2019 attendance was just about 17,000, so we're holding comfortably with the 2000 or pre-COVID numbers. You do see a spike in the swimming lesson attendance, which we're excited about that, again, that people are coming to the pool. I think it's important to recognize that our pool is an important resource, not only for recreational and just how you spend your free time, but that we're providing an area where people can get life-saving skills, can learn those swimming lessons. You live in a community that is surrounded by water. It's important to have those skills that should something else happen. So although we provide a nice, relaxing environment, it's important that there's a breadth of services that can be offered at the pool, and we recognize the services available there. Before we dive into our 2025 information and our 2024 highlights, I always like to remind our focus and our mission is to offer quality youth and adult recreation opportunities and to provide desirable parks, open space, and trails which contribute to a healthy community. So I like to bring that focus when we look at building our programs, expanding our services, how we design parks. Are we meeting our mission to our community? That's always important to us. So we really divide our department into two things, and it's places and play. You'll see that now on our recreation guide as kind of values or kind of statements. And so we'll first focus on the places, so it can be the parks, the trails. We'll talk a little bit about some of the things that we accomplished in 2024, and then I'll let Chloe dive into the play side of things. Obviously, our big highlight of 2024 was Jefferson Park. All of you, I hope, have had a chance to get there in the last couple of months and see all of the changes there. We did install the new and inclusive accessible playground, and we're excited to offer that. That has had an overwhelming response to the community. Chloe made a comment to me today that people are still bundling up their kids even as we get into November to go utilize that space. It is a fun space for the kids. Our Public Works and Parks crew did a phenomenal renovation of the pavilion and the design and build out of the new social space. There's still some finishing touches to go on both of those spaces, and we hope to do a ribbon cutting of those spaces next year. You'll see in the next couple of weeks highlights of all of the Jefferson Park components of the project on our social media. So look out for those, but we've gotten a great response to the community from those spaces. And actually there's a network of Parks and Rec, and we shared out some things. I was looking for some feedback. So I shared it out on the Facebook page for this larger group and some pictures of our social space. And the feedback that we got from people across the nation who are in Parks and Rec of just what a cool space the social space is going to be, and that they would love something like that in their community. So it's neat to have something like that in Menasha that people across the nation are like, hey, that's kind of neat, unique. We want to see something like that there as well. Right now, we're in the midst of a new softball diamond road and trail, so that will finish up in 2025, but they've made great progress on that, and you guys hear about that progress every couple of weeks when we approve some payments. And then we also celebrated the dedication of the Jefferson Park basketball court. So we named that earlier, just about a month ago. And that was an exciting opportunity to be able to do that and recognize that accomplishment of that basketball team. And then still to come, so some finishing things that will happen in 2025 is we'll have the new pavilion that will be on the east end of the park. We expect construction to begin in mid-November on that. And then the boat launch won't begin construction until late summer 2025. As part of this, there's been a lot of helping hands, as I would say, have gone in to make Jefferson Park possible. So this is outside of the funding that has come through ARPA or through our CIP program, and I want to take an opportunity to recognize all those different funding sources that have helped make this possible. So the Bergstrom Automotive family contributed almost all of the cost of the playground, and like I said, it's a phenomenal space for people of all ages and all abilities to go enjoy. Menasha Corp donated $250,000 for the renovation of the park pavilion, and then Community First recently donated $100,000 to go towards the social space. We did receive a DNR recreational trail program grant for $100,000 to help offset some of that cost. The most recent grant notice that we received, and you might have seen in the last couple of weeks if you've of the media release that came out regarding the DNR recreational boating facility grant. We were very excited to get this. We went for it last year and didn't score quite high enough, and there was some stiff competition in the mix. I think there was 27 projects or something going for funding last year. This year I'd say we were in the top 5 projects, and we received $920,000 to go towards that. So that's huge. The boat launch project wouldn't happen without this substantial grant. Also going towards the boat launch from the Community Foundation and the Nelson Family Fund, we have $200,000, and the Fox Cities Visitor and Convention Bureau, we have $300,000. So again, that comes to a total of just over $2.6 million. Jefferson Park is estimated, we're going to be about just under $7 million is what that's estimated at. So to have $2.6 million of it coming in from either private or grants is very substantial to make this project happen. Because as you all know, when I first kind of started taking on this project, it was estimated at just under $5 million, I think this was going to be. So in that time of that design, it's gone up $2 million in estimate, and to come up with that funding to make this happen, it's been the community who has supported that, and it's also been the work of our internal crews that have helped that. And so I want to recognize that as well, is that the pavilion and social spaces I mentioned were done primarily by our Public Works and Parks crew. So both of those spaces, the pavilion was estimated at about a $442,000 cost if we would have contracted that service out. By doing it internally, we roughly saved about $273,000 on that. So it's substantial savings, and the guys did phenomenal work, and we were able to put some of those extra touches on it because of that. And then the social space, based on the design that we had in place, they were estimating that to be $376,000. By us doing it in-house, we saved about $100,000. So we appreciate their time and their efforts and their ingenuity in making all of that happen. So I wanted to recognize that. I'll turn this over to Travis and Thad now to kind of dive into some of the smaller projects that we did this year.
So at Hart Park this year, we revamped some ramps to skate light. We had to strip it down to the bare bones and then build it back up. At Cosmo Park, we did a dugout renovation. As you can see in the picture, added a fence, which is safer for the ball players, a new bench, fence, and like the warning track or the red granite, we straightened that up for appearances. We also added some field conditioner. We had some wet areas between first and second, and then the hot corner on third. And now with this field conditioner that we applied, it really seems to have improved the shedding of the water and being able to get games in, after a rain. And over at Shepherd, the crews did all the prep work before the playground installers came, and then after the playground was installed, then we did the pour and play.
Also at Shepherd Park, you're going to see in 2025 the install of a new obstacle course and some fitness equipment. So that is from the ARPA funding from the health department. We partnered with the health department to offer that, and we think that's a neat project going in there. Again, something unique in the Fox Cities area. We chose Shepherd Park based on the location and proximity to such a popular trail and those active people being along the trail. So we're excited to offer that. It will probably be a new space. I know Chloe's interested in doing some programming there. So we're excited to be able to offer that. Honestly, I think it's a great way to welcome people to Menasha, to have some of these, a new playground there, but then also some of these new facilities that they won't see throughout the Fox Cities. We've also done many things on our trail this year. An initiative that was brought forth by the Sustainability Committee was to install a bike rack at each park. They had a volunteer go throughout our park system and throughout the community and look at where there's bike parking available, and created a map of where we were lacking in spaces, and there was 9 of our parks that didn't have a bike rack at them. So we received a $1,500 grant from the League of American Bicyclists, and then we also worked with the Wisconsin Bike Fed, who actually donated some of the bike racks to us. We've gotten them painted, and they are now all installed at our park. So each park has at least one bike rack now. And then another big project that I've been a part of is the High Cliff Connection. I know earlier this year I brought forth to, we've talked about the feasibility study. I have just gotten the draft for our portion of the feasibility study, so I'll be reviewing that with our consultant and taking it back. But the trail segment that we are studying is solely east of Oneida Street along State Highway 114, and then they're looking at a secondary option along Manitowoc Road. And just as a reminder, this is an 80% federally funded grant and 20% local funds, and that 20% local funds is being covered by the Community Foundation. So really at no cost to the city, we're having all of this work done. Now we'll take a look at our parks budget. So page 369 is where you will see the parks budget, when I will have Thad talk about this.
For 2025, for our buildings account, Smith and Coslow's garage doors, we need to have replaced. It was in our budget last year. We did not spend that money. We pushed it into this year to be able to get that done. We also have the memorial building doors they were on there a few years back, I believe, and they still have not been fixed yet. It's been pushed back, and we wanted to really take some time and get that done for the 2025 season. Small projects is the same as normal that we always have. Our trail ceiling that we're on, Hart Park, the skate park repair, so the skate light, the framing underneath is rotting, so we're taking that all apart, fixing the framing, and then reapplying the skate light. And then we have, Coslow infield conditioning. This is something that is recommended to be put on the field every year, and I believe that is one of the reasons why the field was holding so much water. We did not have that absorbent into the sand and clay and silt mixture of the field. So this will help out a lot by keeping up on this. So we do have that in the budget also. For 2018, the department, we have additional flowers for Racine Street. This was $2,000 that we added in there so we could actually have marigolds around the whole thing instead of blank spots like we've had previously.
Just a note about Hart Park, so this will be our third year. Each year we budget about $5,000 to go towards the repair of that skate park. That skate park is now 20 years old. We're just a little over 20 years old. So you're starting to see a lot of wear and tear. There's a number of users every year, and that wood is getting soft. That skate light needs to be repaired, so we do annual projects there and have repaired some good portions, but there's still much more to go. Any other questions? Oh.
Alderman Rapella?
Thank you, Mayor. Megan, as I'm reading this department on 371, for the marigolds, is that correct? We're spending $43,000 on the marigolds?
No, so what that's saying is we added money to the budget for Marigold, so that's our department supply line.
Okay.
Anytime you see a 3018 account in any of the budgets, it's a general supply line.
Okay.
So there's a variety of things. So all of the park projects, all of the different things that they do throughout the year can come out of those supplies. We're just making a note that that's why you're seeing a slight increase.
Understood.
Those would be some phenomenal marigolds though if we spent $43,000 on them.
Yes, definitely.
I'm not sure where they'd grow those, but that's also like where the Smith Park garden flowers come out of that budget line as well. So no.
Thank you.
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit more about the $7,000 increase in 3201 for, there's a note regarding CDL licenses. I understand what CDL license is for and that everybody needs them, but just highlight that increase, please.
So this is from our hiring process. We have people that do not have CDLs that if you do get hired on at the city of Menasha, you have a year to get your CDL. We have pushed that back because we're busy, and then we didn't have the money budgeted for it. We're still working out ways to do this and talking with HR and the director on how we're going to implement this so people weren't just coming here and getting a CDL and then leaving right away. So we have that kind of worked out right now. It's $3,500 per CDL, and this is actually a guy that comes in to the city. He will do a classroom with the guys walk them through everything, and then do on the road with the guys with our vehicles, and then he brings them in to take the test. And this is all new from the state, that you have to have all this done now. You have to go to the schooling to be able to get your CDL. You can't just go take your temps and then take your test. You have to go through these classes.
So is this for new hires only, or for every employee who needs their CDL renewed at some point?
The renewal is just, you pay just like your normal driver's license. You pay your fee, you go in there, and your driver's license is renewed no matter what you have on there. So that's taken care of already, so they don't have to do this class if they already have the CDL. If they came to us having a CDL, they wouldn't have to go through this class.
Okay, so this is for new hires who need a CDL, and it covers the instructor's time for classroom and on the road.
Correct.
Interesting, and that's mandated by the state now?
The state.
Thank you.
Yeah, they changed their requirements in the last 2 years, I would say.
Okay.
We've been able to, in the park side of things as well, they provide support to Public Works when it comes to plowing, but some of our equipment doesn't require a CDL license right away. So we've been able to push back, as Thad mentioned, not having our full crew of parks crew have the CDL, but we do want them to have that for a variety of reasons, whether it be helping with snow plowing or sometimes some of the equipment they use in the summertime as well.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Seeing none. Alderman Rapella?
Thank you, Mayor. Megan, I'm looking on page 369, and this deals with the wages and the salaries. And I just want to go back to 2024. We had budgeted like $367,592, and then the projected was over $472,000, so that was over $100,000 increase. Now this year we have projected or budgeted $383,402. Will we see another $100,000 increase, or how did that play out?
Sure. So that is related to the in-house work that they did at Jefferson Park and Shepherd Park. So when any of our crews time on Public Works and Park is billed directly to the space or the account that they're working in. So although we estimate where all the Public Works and Parks time crew is going to be spent throughout the year, when we have them come and work and do all the work that they did in Jefferson Park, all of their time, all the public work guys that were there pouring concrete, remodeling the kitchen, all of that, that's billed to the parks account. So this is the reason you're seeing that increase, is because their time was billed to our parks budget, because that's where they were spending our time. If you now would probably go and look at the various public works accounts, they should be down. They're just offsetting. That money's just not now being spent in streets or not being spent in stormwater or someplace else. You would see that. It's just sitting in our account. So no, I wouldn't expect that as much. There is still some projects planned for 2025 in which our crews will be within our parks. One will again be Shepherd Park, where I just talked about them. They won't install that obstacle course, but they'll do that port in place again. So that time again gets billed there. So that's why you see that large amount there.
Okay, thank you.
All right, and forestry.
All right, so forestry in 2024, we celebrated our 150th by planting 150 trees at Smith Park neighborhood. We're still doing the treatment of the EAB. We did 80 trees. Well, we did 80 trees last year, and are going to be continuing that into 2025. Clovis Grove Park, the forest, we had a bunch of dead ash trees in there. He cleaned up a bunch of stuff, made it, you could actually walk through it now. Took all the buckthorn, we got all that cut out. We're trying to manage that a little better. Dylan's trying a couple different things, so hopefully we can get that taken care of so that doesn't keep coming back. We'll see how this new way of doing things works, and try to keep it cut down. 2025, Water Street development. So we're going to be planting all the trees on Water Street. some of that will be coming out of our tree fund, and then a lot of it will be coming out of the different funds for the Water Street planting. So the CAP and the TIF and whatever else it's under.
Alderman Sevenick?
Seeing you're discussing the Water Street plantings and that, I mean, we're not just going to be planting sticks, are we? Do we have plans for, you know, some substantial plantings also?
So we have, the trees that we're buying are the 2.5 dBH. We are trying to do, or not trying to do, we are doing, I would say 8. I think we're around 8 spaded trees, so that'll be the bigger ones like we did at Jefferson Park. So we wanted to get a little bit of a variety so they weren't all small like you're stating. That was, that's in the budget. I don't know the communication, do you know?
So we hope to spread our variety of information that we share with the community on our social media. I think if you look at our social media presence right now, it's probably 80 to 90% recreation focused. And we want to share a wide variety there and recognize all the things that our department does. So a goal on the forestry side of things and parks in general is to increase our communication and our public awareness. So share information about EAB, share information when we talk about the Clovis Grove Park forest remediation. What are we doing over there besides just taking down trees is what it looks like, but what is the purpose of that? And really sharing our knowledge and our expertise with the community and recognizing all the efforts across our department. So you'll see some of that. And then we also plan to do a full tree inventory and create an urban forestry management plan. And it says dependent on grant funding. I did just receive news yesterday from the DNR that we received the grant that we submitted in October for that. So we've been very fortunate in working with the DNR on many different projects, and we'll be working on that. So it's important to update our inventory. I think the last time our inventory was officially updated was in 2010. Dylan goes in each year and marks, okay, yes, we've planted a tree here, but it doesn't go back and officially now recognize what is the size of those trees. So all those trees, have grown in the last 15 years. So although, yes, we recognize we have a tree at that spot and that is in our inventory, what is the size of that tree? What is the health of that tree? And then it's also going to recognize and note good planting locations for us. So when we go each year and look at where are we going to plant the 100 or 150 trees each year, Dylan will have a good tool to work with to recognize where we need that. This management plan will also go into helping us update our ordinances, which is greatly needed, especially on the forestry side of things. And it's going to give us some tools for helping with maintenance and best operation practices. So we're excited to have this tool. It's kind of been a culmination of processes to get to this point. So this will be a great tool for us to have. As far as the budget, there isn't a significant change you're going to see in there. We are expecting to do some increase in tree removal in late fall, so you might see an increase noted for vehicle use and some wage adjusted to reflect that accurately.
Alderman Sevenick?
Refresh my memory here. How many years now have we been at Tree City?
44, I believe. 44, is it? 43? 43. Next year will be 44. I'm talking about the 2025 budget, so it's 44. Yeah, you know what? I look this up every year and I forget it, but I always like to see, we are one of the older ones in the state as far as Tree City. I want to say we're like second or third in the state, so which is a pretty great accomplishment. You also remember a couple years ago when talking about Tree City USA, we were nominated or recognized as a bronze for a bike-friendly community. So we are applying again for that, and hopefully we'll at least go up to a silver based on some of our efforts. And so that'll be coming in 2025 as well.
With the DNR grant that Megan was talking about also, with having Dylan here and being able to get him more hours, so a bigger percentage of his time is actually going into forestry, which we need if we're having a forestry department. We want to spend time doing it and be able to maintain these trees. With updating this with the DNR grant, he will be able to go then, and as he's going around, he will have a laptop, so when he's going around trimming trees, pruning trees, going through the area, he'll be able to document that. The first time we did this, we thought we were going to be able to do that, but we didn't have enough time for the guys to be out there and doing it all, and we fell behind. So with this grant coming in and getting this updated, and then he'll be able to keep up moving forward, going along with it and updating it as he's going, so we wouldn't have to do this every 5-10 years, whatever it was, yeah. So. Where are we at now? So the cemetery, for 2025, I guess the cemetery's staying the same. The only changes we're going to have that we're leaving in there is the marker placement. So the marker placement actually helps us find grave sites to measure it out to be able to place headstones and the caskets and everything in the proper places. We're able to do it by jumping around from different ones and measuring, but we just haven't had the time to get out there, so we want to make sure that we have time this year to get these in. We've had these markers for a few years now, so we need to get them in. All right, let me up again. Building maintenance. One of the highlights is the city center rent. The overall share for the office supplies and maintenance related to City Hall. 2024, one of the highlights that we had was the fire department living quarters remodel. So that was the kitchen, day room, captain's office, hallway, and the weight room. We did some just some touch-ups and made it a little more welcoming. So it's newer. The 2025 focus is going to be for the fire department, this sleeping quarter remodel. So this will include, there's 4 bedrooms there. There's 3 shifts, so they have four firefighters on each shift. So they have 4 sleeping quarters. There is a laundry room and a locker room that is about as old as the building. So once we get done with this, obviously upon your guys' approval of the $22,500, that would be in the CIP. That would be a good thing to have this building done. So I think that's all I have for that one.
The renovations that Thad spoke about in 2024, you can see there in the photo of the renovation of their kitchen. This too was done in-house with the skill set of Thad. So kudos to him and his skill set.
Skill set of the crew.
And the crew, yes. Ingenuity of Thad. Thad has a strong background in that, but yes, with the help of the crew as well. But we're able to do some of these projects and provide these renovations at a great savings to the community. So we're excited about that. And then the marina would be on page 89. So this throws you off a little bit because it's a separate fund. So highlights for 2024, we did see an increase in our slip rental revenue. We increased the rate slightly last year, but really, it's very variable. It's dependent on size of boats that go in there because they do pay per foot. There is a minimum, so it doesn't necessarily mean we've seen an uptake in number of boats. The marina was pretty full this year, but again, like I said, it's variable because of the size of the boats. Our gasoline sales were down, but again, we did have a pretty rainy start to summer, and so when they're not out boating, they're not burning gas. Certainly over the course of the years, we've seen a decrease in gasoline sales a bit with the closure of the lock. That affects that through traffic from Little Lake Butamore to Lake Winnebago, and certainly have seen a decrease in gasoline sales. But we are still expecting about a $25,000 or savings or profit, you could say, for this. So overall doing well for this year. Focuses in 2025, there'll be some work done by our crew on some dock electrical housings, and then some lighting upgrades around the marina. Before we switch into play, is there any questions regarding really our facilities or parks side of the budget?
Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. Just looking on page 89, where all of the wages, salaries, employer contributions are outlined. I understand that this is a revenue separate fund, but could you explain the increases across the board in wages, overtime, and the employer contribution?
So you're referring to what was budgeted, what was projected, and then what's budgeted for 2025?
The changes in what's budgeted for 24 to 25.
Really, some of those would be changes in we might have planning to do, because we're planning on doing some work down there, so sometimes then we'll shift the wage splits and say, okay, well, we're instead of, 10% of their wage, we're going to put 12% because we're expecting them to spend a little bit more time down at the marina. This will, in 2024, we can see that we only spent $5,700. We didn't really do a project down there this year, so that's why you're seeing a slight increase there.
Okay, so it's not just the harbor masters.
No, the
salary
harbor master-
wages, but other staff wages and salaries are allocated to this fund.
Correct. This is not the harbor master at all. The harbor master comes out of line 2106 under the management line because she's a contracted employee or contracted staff. So hers is a flat rate. What you see for wages, overtime, that's just our park staff, our seasonal staff that goes down there and mows lawn, actual city employees.
Okay, so there'll be a lot of work going on there next year.
There'll be different things going on, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, and then like I said,
Alderman Rapella?
Oops. Thank you, Mayor. Going back to that wages study again, please explain how it went from $24,738 and then projected was $5,725, so it went way down. Are you? I was looking at different pages, so okay.
sure.
Everybody knows. That's fine.
That's okay. It's really the same thing. Their wages get allocated to where they're doing work. So even though we budgeted, say, 10% of 2 or 3 different employees, if they're not actually doing the work down there because we didn't have a specific project, then we don't bill that account for that. So now we will shift from all of our places into the play side of things.
So it's a common occurrence that I hear your job is so fun or you get paid to play, and for the most part it's true except for budget season where I don't feel like I'm playing at all. So thank you for that. In 2024, we shared in our play by increasing volunteer opportunities. Earlier saw a slide that we had already had more volunteers join us than last year. And these hours took place in programs, special events, planting, a lot of weeding. So it's really great to have the help and make our community shine. And what a fantastic year it was to live and serve in Menasha as we celebrated our 150th. We were excited to help in those celebrations and to be a part of the conversations with the anniversary Otto Grunski Bike Ski, which we had 85 bikers race around Smith Park. And we wanted to also encourage people to play on their own time and with their families and friends. So we've continued our efforts, like our leprechaun search, pumpkin hunt, and new to this year, a bike bingo in May. And we'll be outlining we have already outlined some pretty great fall color walks between Heckrot and the Conservancy, which really was absolutely beautiful this year with the colors. For 2025, our focus is we want the play to continue. And so we're incredibly excited to see the ways that we can leverage our new facilities with program developments and highlight the potential of these spaces. We also want to ensure that we share the social media spotlight, like Megan mentioned earlier, around sharing updates and details around our parks, trails, waterways, and forestry. And lastly, in 2025, you'll see a focus on independent contractors to help us expand our programming offerings without taxing our staff. So if you know of anyone who has a cool skill to share, I would love to talk with them. We're going to shift to our budget, which is pages
364.
364. So the changes in the budget this year are an increase in wages and seeing a structured coordinator to help with the areas of our recreational program. And we are also continuing to see the need for temp staffing, which are items like face painting, balloon tires at our special events. And then also planning for the compensation of the independent contractors, which will have offset revenue. We also did include a small increase to aid in staff recruitment and retention. We have a lot of graduating seniors, and we would love nothing more to keep them on board during their summers when they're back in the summer months. Any questions? Sorry.
Any questions? All right.
So another way that we play is by splashing and diving. In 2024, we had a great pool season with enhanced programs and events with our specialty swim times. We saw a great leadership change with our swim lesson coordinator being implemented. It was a wonderful fit for our department, to be honest, and I'm really glad that we made the change there. That coordinator took the scripted lesson plans and created a bullet-pointed guide, which is a lot more user-friendly and condensed the resources for our instructors. We've expanded our private swim lessons through online registration and then trialed a flexible schedule for families. And lastly, we were able to be fully staffed and provided 13 hours of continued in-service training. And we had 2 staff members complete the AFO, which is the Aquatics Facility Operator Certificate Program. We always learn so much during the pool season, and many of the things that we learn about ways that we can improve. We'll have a focus on finding ways to diversify our pool offerings and services, and we wanted to make sure to better match the needs of the pool leadership who have historically have had limited management experience, and because that's who we're getting in those positions, we need to make sure that they feel confident in their training and their skills through our training to help them handle the demands of these positions. Our pool budget has most notably an increase of, because we are going to be able to be open 8 days longer, because the school calendar finally lines up that way. I'm always so annoyed when I'm eagerly waiting when they release their calendar because it has such an impact on our program and staffing levels. So a 8-day longer season does mean a $10,718 impact on our budget. We are looking to increase our front end by a full $1 to continue with the surrounding area trends, and our lifeguards are looking at a 50% increase. And our managers are moving to $20, which is in line with the other areas' pools. We will be continuing to offer, because we have to, the first aid CPR training for all staff members, and Red Cross has increased their dollar amount for those classes and certifications. And we'll be doing an annual recertification for all lifeguards, except for the new lifeguards that have received their lifeguard training that season, because it will help hit the state code requirement for the annual CPR certification for lifeguards. And we really don't have we have a few lifeguards, but a lot of our lifeguards are they don't guard off season, so those skills are rather rusty, so I feel a lot more comfortable with them going through a full lifeguard class than just coming in with our in-services. So we're grateful for that change. And with our small projects, we're excited about our drop slide getting a facelift and the pool lane lines getting painted as well.
Are there any questions?
And the water testing kit. That also is in there. So that is also We are required by state to keep track of all of our chemicals, and a water testing kit will actually give us like the percent, or not, to be able to go over 10% to show that we hit that. Otherwise, currently our kit right now only shows that we go to 10, and so it doesn't actually measure anything above.
Any questions?
Page 375 as well.
So the testing kit is when we had some incidents at the pool where we had to get our chlorine level above 10%. We could only read to 10%, so then you'd have to dilute the water, add more chemical to the tester, and to be able to kind of get close. We don't want to kind of get close, we want to make sure we're right on. So that's the reasoning for the new testing kit for the pool.
In both the rec and the pool budgets, Chloe talked about the staff wages, and we do include those comparables for your reference. It is important that we stay in line with other communities for us to continue to recruit. Neenah always is leading that pack, or Appleton, is always leading that pack as far as wage levels, but we need to stay consistent and consistently moving up, because there's a wide variety of opportunities where kids can go and get summer jobs, and we want to be able to fully staff our pool and our rec programs, and so it's important for us to continue to move forward and just be on the wages, but provide a good working environment. So it's not just about paying them, but you got to give them resources and make it a fun work environment, and hopefully teach them some skills that they can take on in hopefully their profession. We get a lot of at times people who want to be educators. Working in day camp is helpful with that and gaining some of those skills and working with kids.
Got a couple lights on. We'll do Alderman Grady first.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't know eventually the question is for Megan, but Chloe, with the increase in, you're so happy, 8 more days of swimming, hopefully next year, and you mentioned that that's about a $10,000 increase in cost. So are we tweaking our fees for next year to cover that $10,000?
We are.
Or are we going to keep everything the same and eat it? I don't know. It's just...
Correct. Right now, there is not, and there's not a proposed change in rate. I've talked with Park Board. I think we've talked about this when we talked about adjustment of fees. I personally would not look at proposing a rate increase until we get to that next level of updating our pool and getting a new pool. We have certainly a hard enough time attracting people, as there's many places that they can go for swimming opportunities. Our season, it's 8 days longer than last year, but our season fluctuates every year anyway. It's not always, say, 65 days long. So you do get a little bit of fluctuation from year to year. It's trying to hit it, just right. And I know we try and stay in line with Neenah and Appleton, and that's something I've heard from the council too, is, when is our pool opening, Neenah's open, things like that. So we want to try and stay in line with that. This year, the school district is ending a little earlier than normal because they are working on getting their middle school ready then for the fall after. So we're just trying to make sure that we're meeting the needs of our community. So if you would increase it this year to offset those couple extra days, then the following summer may be off, then you're going to be a little bit lower, and are you going to reduce the price?
Okay. At least you thought of it, so thank you.
Yep.
All right, Alderman Perkins.
Mine is just a comment. I want to thank you. Both of my kids worked at the pool. Both of them loved it. One of them is now working in the ER because she was a lifeguard and had first aid and bloodborne pathogen, and sent her on her way. And it was just a great experience for them, and I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Chloe puts an immense amount of hours into that, and the training is pivotal. For what they're out there for. It is fun, and we want them to have fun on the job, but the pool in particular, they need those life-saving skills, and we're happy to hear that they go forward and are able to use those in their everyday world.
I will say that your concessions numbers went down a lot after my son left.
That's right.
Thanks for that that explanation. I didn't know.
I'm glad we solved that. Alderman Marshall?
Yeah, Megan, I was on the park board for 11 years, and we talked about a pool, the Taj Mahal. In today's dollars, what are we looking at to replace that? Can you give us kind of a, ballpark, or what are we looking at in a few years from now?
When we were putting together the Jefferson Park numbers, and mind you, this was already a year or two ago because it would have been in the larger scope of things, they were estimating 10 to 12 million at that time. I'm going to guess it's going to be more of the 12 to 15
something like
by the time we get to it, because you're still another.
Middle of the road, because I know at one time we had a basic, an estimate in Taj Mahal that had zip lines and.
I would say your basic would probably be about your 10 and 11 million. Okay. Your middle of the road is going to be 12 to 13, okay. And your, I don't want to say Taj Mahal because it won't be a Taj Mahal at 15. But yeah, you're going to kind of have those incremental things. And so that's what we look to explore next year, okay. And get community feedback on that as we work through that design process.
Okay, thanks.
Doesn't look like there's any more questions. Oh, Alderman Nichols?
Thank you. I didn't realize it was the end. I want to go back to something you talked about a little earlier at the beginning of the play section, and that was implementing independent contractors for some of the programming areas. And so could you elaborate on that a little bit more, give some examples of what you mean by that and where those costs might show up in the budget?
Sure. It's quite common within Parks and Rec to have staff and as well as independent contractors. An example of a current program we have where we use an independent contractor is our babysitting course. So those people have a specialized skill set in which they'll come in. A lot of times they'll travel between communities and teach that specialized course. And then usually the way you set up a rate with them is an 80-20 split. So if it's $60, 80% of that is going to go to the instructor, and they're responsible for their insurance, their wages, any supplies, things like that. And 20% comes to us for covering of our marketing. A lot of times we're filling facility space, things like that. With independent contractors, a lot of times you're going to get a more specialized need. A lot of the staff that we have are young. So if we're looking maybe, say, at the pool to do a paddleboard yoga class, it's highly unlikely we're going to put our 16-year-old staff teaching a paddleboard yoga class. So you'll bring in an independent contractor to do that. So you're not going to see it in that 1008 line in the recreation or pool. That's our wages. So that's our in-house hourly wage. You would see it, I believe it's the 2003 or 2005 lines in which you would see independent contractors. Because it is an 80-20 split, when you see a $1,000 increase, that should actually be fully offset with a revenue line or in our revenue.
So. Okay, thank you for that explanation. I think what I'm hearing is that these are things that have been done in the past. And currently, and we're just changing how we talk about them, I guess, because I haven't heard that term before, so that's what prompted me to answer the question.
It's just, it's a way to expand, like I said, it's a way to expand program, it's a way to bring in some specialized skill set. It can be from kids, is it Kids Stage that we have? Kids Stage is a acting program, a youth theater program, I should say. Again, it's a specialized skill set as a lot of times is what you bring that in.
Are you planning on adding more or different additional things?
Correct.
Now,
Correct.
Do you have examples of what those are?
The Youth Enrichment League has, I've been in communication with them, so they have robotics and coding classes that I'm very interested in because, again, my staff don't necessarily have that skill set, and it often comes with equipment that I don't want to have to purchase and then store. So those are some of the ways that we can really provide great opportunities for the kids without taxing our staff.
Thank you.
Alderman Rapella?
Thank you, Mayor. Megan, I drove over by the softball diamond, and what are the dimensions in the outfield from home plate to left field, center, and right. I guess, I think you may have told me, but what are they again?
275.
275 the whole way?
Correct.
The way around? Okay. Just that when you drive by, you happen to notice that there's a huge green space in direct left field, but then as you get towards center, in the power alleys between left center and right center, that's a little bit closer to the sidewalk.
Correct. If it's direct center, you still have about another 20 plus feet, so you're going to be right at 300 before you'd hit a curb line of any sort.
Okay.
There are some trees that are, so you'll have some natural vegetative barriers there as well. So there'll be some obstructions to help deter and prevent it from going in the road or beyond that as well.
I was just wondering, because I think normally the past time it was 250 feet, I believe.
Yeah, it was smaller, yes.
All right, and then one more thing, when is a contract set up between you and the softball person for the following season? Does he send one like in April or in March, or when is that type of deal?
The council approved a 3-year contract, so we're just in the middle of that contract right now, so there's not an annual contract.
Okay, so for 3 years, that's guaranteed that he's going to be playing there then?
He's under contract for 3 years, and at that time, he had asked for, because I think we were just talking about a 1-year contract or something like that, and he wanted an extended contract at that time, so.
Okay, all right, thank you. Oh, that's it. There was a rumor going on that you're going to start a bocce ball league. Is that
You want in?
Well, it is kind of physical, so we will see. It would be interesting. So.
It'll be fun.
Yes. Okay, got it. Thank you.
That is a new thing for Thad, but he is very excited about learning how to play bocce ball.
I put my foot in my mouth for pickleball, so I'm just going to jump on board with the bocce ball right away. Ted, did you want more of a breakdown on the social space like you asked for, or was that good enough? Good? Okay.
Are there any other questions? All right, seeing none, thank you very much. Yeah, Alderman Severnick.
Unless I was sleeping here. I thought did you talk about the lift bridge?
The bridge is in Public Works.
Well, it says Park and Rec, so I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. For a while it was under, yeah, for a while it was under Parks and Rec, but it is under Public Works. So Thad and Travis will be reviewing that during their presentation.
So shift it over to Public Works, which is next then.
Yes.
All righty.
So thank you everyone for your time.
Thank you for the presentation. Let's give them a couple of minutes, so if you need to stand up, stretch, things like that, let's reconvene in 5 for the next presentation. Thank you.